Hi, my name is Marion Rose, and there's a big warm welcome to you to another episode of my Aware Parenting series. So I'm a Level 2 Aware Parenting instructor, and Aware Parenting is a method and style of parenting which was developed by Aletha Salter, and you can see her website at awareparenting.com. So today I'd love to talk to you about one of Aletha's books, and that is The Aware Baby. And the Aware Baby is really helpful if you have a baby between the ages of 0 and 2, got a little itch there, or if you're pregnant and you want to explore this style of parenting more. So what's different about Aware Parenting is really its understanding of babies' needs and babies' feelings. So it's a style of attachment parenting, so it's really based on the understanding that babies need plenty of sensitive care. They need a lot of closeness. They really need us to be very attuned to their needs and to meet those needs promptly. So if they're needing closeness and connection, that we meet that need promptly. If they're hungry, we will meet that need promptly. As they get older and they need stimulation, we meet that need promptly. So it's really based on the idea that when we do those things regularly for babies, that they internalize that and they become securely attached, and they really learn that self-concept that their needs are valuable, and they actually then are very connected to their own needs and their own, when they're hungry, they know when they're hungry, they know when they're tired, they know what they need because we've responded relatively accurately to their needs. But there's one main difference about Aware Parenting compared to most other styles of parenting, and that is its perspective on crying. So there's often two different ways of looking at crying, and this is the third way. So I'm going to give you the other two ways. You're probably familiar with them. So one main way will tend to be the idea that if a baby is crying, we need to stop the crying, and that may be through kind of leaving them or kind of moving away from them, or somehow that crying is something that we really need to kind of train babies to stop doing. It's kind of just a byproduct that we kind of need to stop. Or from the other approach is that that all crying indicates an unmet need. So if a baby's crying, it means one of their needs are not met. So from that approach, we need to feed them or rock them or jiggle them or distract them, and when they're not crying anymore, it means we've met that need. And the main difference with Aware Parenting is that it sees that babies cry for two reasons. So the first reason is, yes, that sometimes it is an unmet need, and as I said, it's really important that we meet those needs. But the second reason is because they have some feelings to express, just like us. That's why we cry when we're upset, when we've lost something or somebody, when we're feeling sad, we cry to let those feelings out. And if you've done any kind of therapy or self-development work, I'm sure you've cried yourself and cried with loving support, and I'm sure you've noticed that afterwards you feel relieved and everything looks clear, you can see more clearly, and you just kind of feel more available to connect with other people and to learn new things. And the same is the case with babies. So if we make sure that we listen to their needs, of course, but if all their needs are met and they're still crying, then it's very likely that they're crying to release upset feelings or stress or even trauma from their bodies, because this is this inbuilt mechanism that they have. And you may say, but babies' stressful feelings, isn't life easy for them? But again, from research, even starting into the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and up until the present day, we've learnt so much about babies. We used to think they didn't really feel much, they weren't really very aware of very much, and really the research clearly shows now that babies are highly conscious and sentient beings at birth and even before birth, and that they're constantly being affected by the experiences they have. So there are certain things that will lead to more crying, and again the research shows this. So babies whose mothers have really stressful pregnancies tend to cry more when they're out of the womb, and babies who have a more stressful birth tend to cry more when they're out of the womb. But if we take into this into account this inbuilt healing mechanism, we'll see that there's a reason that they do that. And then actually, if we can be really present with them and hold them and not rock them or jiggle them or try to distract them or try to feed them, but just be really, really present with them, look into their eyes and say, sweetheart, I'm here, I'm listening, I really hear you, I really want to hear you. Thank you for telling me how it is for you and how things have been for you. Just as you would if you went to a friend and you'd had a really hard day and you were crying, it wouldn't feel really enjoyable if they were trying to kind of, shove a biscuit into your mouth or, try to distract you. Sometimes we really just need to be heard, and babies are just the same. They need to be heard too. So the beautiful thing about aware parenting is that we can make sure we meet as many of their needs as we can, and we can understand that all babies have uncomfortable feelings, even if they have the best possible birth and we carry them all the time and we're meeting all their needs, they still feel uncomfortable feelings. And I'm sure you've experienced that. Maybe you've taken your baby out for the day and you've been to a really busy shopping centre or a concert or a market, and there were loads of people and there was loads of stimulation, and maybe they kind of seemed happy and interested at the time, but they're taking in on all that information, and the younger they are, the more likely that's going to be overwhelming for them, because they don't understand it all the way we do. They don't have the cognitive capacity that we have. And the way they release the extra overwhelm is by having that cry at the end of the day. So you may have noticed after a busy day like that your baby seems to want to feed lots, or they'll wake up at night much more frequently, or they'll just be agitated in their bodies. So the beautiful thing is we can really observe our babies and actually listen to them and let them express the feelings of the day. When we can be with them, hold them in our arms and let them have a big cry and say, it was a busy day today, sweetheart, wasn't it? There were so many people, weren't there? And lots of things, and I'm really here with you, I'm listening. And this way, babies can get to heal from birth trauma, they get to heal from any separations, and they just get to heal from the everyday experiences they have. And most babies have some feelings every day. And this has a massive effect on sleep. And I will talk in another video all about aware parenting sleep. But to suffice to say for now that if babies have accumulated feelings because we're not understanding that they need to express these feelings, and we're feeding them every time they're upset, or we're jiggling them or rocking them or distracting them, these feelings will accumulate and accumulate. And one of the things it shows up in is it takes longer for them to go to sleep. They may wake up every sleep cycle, and they may wake up more and more frequently, even as they're getting older and they have the capacity to sleep for longer. So the beautiful thing about this is that we can meet their needs to be heard, and their needs for sleep, and our needs for sleep too. So aware parenting is so much about babies and parents both getting their needs met. So it's really the third approach, and I'll talk more, as I say, about this. But in this approach, we can get lots of sleep. We don't need to put up with loads and loads of night waking, and our babies can get their needs met. We don't need to resort to one of us getting our needs met and not the other one. So is there anything else I'd like to say to you about the Aware Baby? It's a really a kind of a life-changing book, and if you do read it, I recommend actually reading it more than once, because often some of these concepts and ways of thinking are so different to so many other styles of parenting that sometimes it takes time for us to change and to see things in a different way, and to really try it out with our baby. Does this, and how does this resonate with me? And what happens if I do this? What does my baby do? Is she making more eye contact? Is she smiling more? Is she sleeping more peacefully? Are her muscles more relaxed? And I always say to parents, please listen, to yourself. Does this resonate with you? And if it does, just try it out and then observe your baby and see what your baby tells you as a result of that. So I really would say, even though I'm recommending this book to you, please don't ever do something because a book says it tells you to do something, or because I told you to do something. Just listen to what resonates with you and try it out, and then see what you see, and then really trust yourself. You and your baby know what you need. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be doing more and have done more if you want to have a look at my older ones, and As I say, if you want to find out more about the Aware Baby book, you can look on Aletha's website, which is awareparenting.com, and you can look on my website, which is marianrose.net. And meanwhile, if you have a baby, just play around with listening to this. Do you notice that your baby seems to start crying at particular times? Often in the evening is the time, or maybe the time that they were born, or you notice after a busy day that they seem to be more kind of agitated. So just really observe, because that's always the first and most important step. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again in another video.